welcome to Chicago Tribune Live, presented by our Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers. I'm Chuck Garfien, wishing I was Bruce Springsteen for one day. One day. That's all I need. One day of Bruce. Okay, 1 year of Bruce, I'd be fine. We don't have Born to Run, we don't have Badlands, we don't have Thunder Road, but we do have these guys. From the Tribune, he covers the Bears, he calls his own plays. He is David Haugh. To his left, veteran writer for the Tribune, Bob Fultman. Next to him, he also covers golf and the media. He is Ed Sherman, and rounding out the panel, former Bear Robin Earl is here from IPA. Coming up on today's show, we'll look back at that incredible win for the Bears, that amazing drive, and how Philadelphia is dealing with the loss. Here's a hint: not well. The Patriots keep rolling, 7 and counting. Will they ever lose again? And after being down 3-1 to the Indians, the Red Sox are headed back to the World Series. Why it's unfair right now for everyone who lives in Boston. Actually, it's unfair to live in Boston. I have to read the teleprompter a little better. And Hawks fans, if you have a television you'll want to hear some news we'll have later in the show, what could that news be? Maybe Jonathan Toews will be on the show. Maybe they're going to give them the Stanley Cup. Maybe it's something else. But first, raise your hand if you thought the Bears would go 97 yards with 1:52 to go and no timeouts. Anyone? Anyone? Nobody.
A lot of low hands.
Nobody's touching their hand. Well, because the Bears' Philly fanatic drive will be talked about for weeks, unless they blow it, against the Lions on Sunday. But for a team that was on life support, the Bears now have a pulse. Brian Griese was the hero, but as for those reports that had him calling all the plays on the final drive, well, today a little bit of backpedaling.
I did not call all the plays in that drive. I did call some. It was just the normal course of a 2-minute drill. And then there were a few instances where I had to call in the huddle. But beyond that, it was a complete effort, obviously, from our coaching staff calling those 2 big plays. And those guys deserve the credit.
All right, so here's what we know. He's not Peyton Manning. He doesn't get to call his own plays all the time.
I think he did a smart thing, a team thing. I mean, he got back to Chicago from Philly and woke up this morning and found out that, it was being, blown into this thing where he was getting the plays by Morse code and signaling them secretly. It was a malfunction of his headset. We all know that. But he was reading the lips of Pep Hamilton on the sideline. It was a collaborative effort. I think the main thing to take out of this was whoever was calling the plays, the poise that he showed down the stretch in that drive was why you brought Brian Griese to Chicago.
Are we going to see more of this? Should we be seeing more of this? This kind of like, you're laughing.
What, you fall behind so you can
No, just this kind of
win the game?
This fluid offense. Put him in the shotgun.
No.
Have not a 2-minute drill all the entire game, but these kind of plays, so to speak.
Well, these things don't. This isn't that uncommon that teams at the end of a game drive down the field, because it's so much different than a regular earlier in the game where defenses are playing a different scheme. And clearly, while the talk here is this wonderful drive that Griese put together, certainly the talk in Philadelphia has to be about their defense and how they were too lackadaisical or maybe too passive. So I'm not sure you can. It's as simple as saying, okay, let's go to a 2-minute drill from the start of the game and then everything will be wonderful. It's just there's too many factors that go into it, and this was just everything happened in the Bears' favor.
See, this never happens to Chicago Bears.
We're stunned.
We got to see a team march down the field and score 97 yards. Did anybody think we could do it? No, but got a couple completions and started marching down the field, and all of a sudden, as it got a little closer and closer, I got a little bit closer to the edge of the couch, and when Moose caught the ball, baby, I was the first one up out of my chair.
But I'm disturbed by this. I'm disturbed. Lovie Smith says this is a running football team. They should have been running the ball down the field. What's this throwing stuff? I'm just, I can't get over this.
They're not a running team.
They aren't. Well, when your top running back is averaging 3.1 yards a carry, there's a problem there with the running back.
Well, actually 2.7 there, Chuck.
You are what your personnel says you are, and the Bears want to be a running team, but their offensive line is not achieving and blocking the way they're used to blocking, and part of that is probably also related to the fact that Cedric Benson is not the running back that Thomas Jones and he doesn't look like the back that is going to get it. We just keep waiting for that light to go on. But it's not going to happen. So what the Bears are doing is...
You say it's not going to happen. You don't see it happening ever?
Well,
the only light I saw, even a glimmer of light with Benson, is when he caught that screen pass. Was it his first screen pass of the year, perhaps?
That he caught?
He caught the ball,
That he caught,
actually,
I
and he
think.
went down and got a first down. And you see he got up with a little step in him.
You see that every now and then, though.
Yeah, but that was the first time he really. Yeah.
What isn't he? What's he not doing? Is he not hitting the hole fast enough? It looks like he's kind of trying to find. Is there a hole not there? I mean, Adrian Peterson.
He's not a shifty running back. He is a plugger. You know, he just runs straight ahead with his head down all the time. His longest run of the year is 16 yards. He's got no shift.
Well, and I also think it's just a matter of quickness. I mean, how do you create quickness if somebody just doesn't have it? And I think that's what maybe the projections in the
So this is a huge miss.
What were we watching last year? That's what I know. Last
it's not
year,
a miss yet, though. I mean,
last year there was promise. I felt. I thought I saw more out of him. This year, I'm not seeing anything.
Well, do you get to a point, though, where you, as an offense, or either Lovie Smith or Ron Turner, they have to say, look, we want to be a running team, but we can't be a running team. We can't be the kind of running team that we want to be. So maybe we have to shift philosophy a little bit. Do you have to get to that point?
No, I don't think. I think they're at the point where the running game's not working, but it still is serving a purpose. I mean, it's the run attempts that are
Well, I'm not saying you abandon it completely, but you have to realize that maybe you can't be the running team that at the beginning of the year you thought you would be. And does that affect your philosophy going forward?
Definitely they've come to that realization. That's why Brian Griese's averaging 40 pass attempts a game in 4 weeks. True. And that's a byproduct of all these things. And I think that, Benson, I agree with you. He looks like a miss, okay? But I think as a staff, as an organization, you can't make that determination because you have another 9 games left. Yeah. And you hope you have a 10th game. And you have to keep giving him the chance because what are your alternatives? You really don't have any. I mean, if Adrian Peterson, very good change of pace back, good on third downs, but, he's not a starter.
Yeah, we talked about that. I'm sorry, we talked about that 2 weeks ago. The offensive line's getting old, and we don't have road graders. We just don't have road graders. And look at that Minnesota line. Did you see how they got up on top of our defense? We're not doing that.
Well, let's get back to Griese and that drive. This is what surprised me. Comparing, I mean, if there's a drive that is legendary, it is the John Elway drive, 1987 AFC Championship against the Browns. How many minutes do you think he went to go 98 yards in 1987?
It was over 2, wasn't it?
All right, the Griese drive was 1:52. His was 5.5 minutes, and Griese had no timeouts. Now, I'm not trying to diminish what John Elway did. This was the AFC Championship. This was just a regular season game with the Bears, but history tells a different story now with the drive. I thought there was only 1:15 left, and he went down the field. He had 5 minutes.
Yeah, and there have been a lot of good drives since that point. I mean, obviously we're not used to seeing them here, and because if you rack your memory and you can't come up with something that this resembles, because I talked to people today. What does this remind you of? Was there ever an Eric Kramer moment or even a Vince Evans moment?
Unprecedented.
Or McMahon.
Yeah.
Nobody can come up with anything.
No.
And,
So what does that say?
It
For the
says-
first time, we look like an NFL team
Wow.
on offense. I mean, in the clutch. I mean, this is what it's all about. This is what the good teams do.
It says the Bears can come back. It says that this is the change is that they are going to still be in a game if they need a touchdown drive, and this will build confidence the next time they're faced in a situation because it's likely they're going to be in this situation again.
Is there a danger of doing now what everybody did after the Green Bay game and say now all the problems are solved and now here we go and it's just super, we're going right to Phoenix in the Super Bowls? Because really for 58 minutes, this was not a very good effort by either team. This was kind of a bad game.
Less chance of that happening now than after Green Bay when there was a letdown for whatever reason and the reason is because that happened against Minnesota. People are guarding against it. They were talking about it soon after yesterday's victory that this was not going to happen again, and this wasn't saving the season if next week they lose to the Lions, which is very possible. But I think they turned the corner.
We'll get to that a little later.
I think they turned the corner a little bit offensively. And the defense made strides because they tackled a lot better. So, they got out of there. They didn't play. It was for 58 minutes, whatever. Kind of a.
They're plugging away just like the Eagles.
Dull game.
Yeah, it's all right, but they stayed in the game. You got to give them the credit. And let's get back to Muhsin Muhammad because if it wasn't for him, there would not be a victory to be talking about today. And after the game on Bears Post Game Live, how would Moose describe the play he made to get free of the cornerback and catch the pass? Was it a cornerback or was it a safety? I don't even remember.
Safety.
It was a safety, that's right.
Safety, yeah.
Here was Muhsin Muhammad yesterday on Bears Post Game Live.
He threw it back shoulder, which means he threw it behind the safety's head. The safety was kind of facing me and not facing the ball, so there's no way he saw the ball. And I made him think I was going to go over the top of him, and I just stopped and came back.
Veteran move.
Just made, you know.
Just being Moose.
When you fishing,
right?
And you put that little bait out there, and you jigging it, and then when they bite, now you got it.
Well, see, now I get it. I didn't really understand what he was talking about, but the fishing thing, that makes sense for me. But Moose and Muhammad, I mean, after 4 weeks, I think you wrote a column about it. Yeah. Moose, where are you? Well, I'm not saying your column had anything to do with it, or maybe it did.
It was before the Vikings game.
Yeah, but the last two games. But the Viking game, he had a touchdown.
No, look, Moose played a great game. I mean, before that, he had a 44-yard touchdown pass. And, yeah, I mean, people have been critical of Moose this year because he's a veteran guy who gets paid well to produce big numbers, and he hadn't been producing them. But you know what? I mean, last night he made a veteran big-time move at a clutch time, and you got to give him credit. He also, one thing I liked about him is that he blocked like an NFL receiver should block, especially on the Devin Hester side screen. I mean, you look at the way he went after that defensive back. Pretty solid game for Moose.
And I'm seeing the Bears' karma maybe turning around here because they had the bad room service. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
Bad room service, bad food with the room service. They had two plays overturned in this game. I'm not saying Super Bowl, but I'm saying wins. I don't know. Where are we going with this?
They were due for some good luck.
Yeah.
And, you know, the field goal hit the crossbar and bounced over, or hit the upright.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
The no call. I mean, that fumble play that was called a false start.
Way back in the rule book for that one.
Oh my goodness!
But it was Ed Hockley's on the call though.
We're going to get to Ed Hockley in a moment. Meanwhile, what are they saying in Philadelphia today? Well, how about this? The Daily News, Philadelphia Daily News, had a poll. Will the Eagles make the playoffs? What percentage of Eagles fans said no, they will not make the playoffs? What do you think?
95.
75, 80.
94%.
Yeah.
94%.
Philadelphia.
They're in last place in the best division in the NFC.
Right.
That's right.
And then this from the Daily News. This was a quote by one of the writers. This was the kind of loss that will haunt a team for weeks, months, even years. Even years? One game?
Well, they got issues there. I mean, there's issues with Andy Reid, and the media is starting to now question whether his time has come there. I mean, they've got some problems there.
You were a minute 52 from having that sort of local angst in Chicago,
sure.
Okay? Because a loss like that does have long-term, lasting implications. Because if now they're out of the playoff hunt, now they go to Kevin Kolb and they start to, usher out Donovan McNabb, like some people in Philadelphia will start calling for. Already have this morning's papers. Then it does have that type of repercussion. That's why that's such a big deal.
Well, where I see the Eagles right now is where the Bears were last week because they had the same record now the Bears had after they lost at home to Minnesota. So if Philadelphia wins next week, they're kind of in the same situation the Bears are right now.
They're in a tougher division, and there's going to be two teams that come out of the East. I mean, it's going to be the Cowboys and probably the Giants.
Right.
Maybe the Packers?
Maybe not going to be three out of the East.
No, not out of the East.
No, out of the East.
Oh, the East. Oh, okay.
There'll be two out of the East, probably two out of the North. And then the South and the West, you're looking at 8-8, probably going to win both of those divisions.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point because the Eagles have a lot taller mountain to climb than the Bears did. And the Bears are still in a division where Green Bay looks to be, kind
somewhat
of.
They could still win the Bears could still win the division.
Exactly.
Right.
Did they get to 4-4 going into a bye week? Then they're in a good situation, and you never thought you would be saying that a week ago.
Got about 30 seconds left in this segment. Devin Hester, the choice not to kick to Hester, the field position the Bears consistently got. Was Devin just as valuable to this team not touching the ball as he is touching the ball?
Definitely. That definitely. They look at the field position they had, and this guy was shanking punts, the kicker's kicking the ball out of bounds. I mean, when you're starting on the 35, 40, 45-yard line, that's a huge advantage for a team. And, this guy might not, if he doesn't touch the ball the rest of the year and they get that kind of field position, the Bears will take that right now.
That said, it was the smart thing to do if you're the Eagles.
I agree.
Because you have an offense that needed to prove something, and they didn't until 2 minutes were left in the game. And so I would not kick to Hester the rest of the year if I'm a Bears opponent. No way.
There's no question.
Oh, that stinks. I want to see him.
Yeah, that hurts, doesn't it?
No, it does. That's exciting.
Admission.
Well, after losing to the Vikings last week, Brian Urlacher was pretty brief with the media. Lots of one-word answers. So what did he do yesterday? Would we get some two-word answers? How about a complete sentence? We'll hear from Brian, and he is by far the buffest referee in NFL history and can probably bench press all five of us combined. But some other things you probably don't know about Mr. Ed Hockley next. Question of the day, it is this. All right, the Bears won, barely. Who was the MVP? Survey, here we go. Muhammad, game-winning touchdown, 5 catches. How about Brian Griese, 322 yards, a touch, no picks. Robbie Gould, or just having Devin Hester on the field, his presence. Log on to chicagosports.com. Let us know what you think. We'll have the results later in the show. You know who my MVP is? Mr. Ed Hockley. The referee yesterday, he gave the Bears a couple of favorable calls, specifically the fumbled snap from Olin Kreutz. It seemed like the Bears had a turnover there, but Hockley, who has the NFL rules apparently written into his DNA, knew that Griese had to touch the ball first. Did any of you guys know the rule? Ever hear of this rule?
No.
No.
No, not at all. And I don't feel that dumb because a lot of the coaches that we asked yesterday and since had never heard of it either and had never seen it called.
What is the point of that rule? I don't understand the point of it.
From what I hear and understand, the point of it is that you can't have the trick plays. In other words, the fumble rooskies and all that.
What I'm impressed by, though, is A, his awareness to make that
Very
call.
quick.
But secondly, he made it without even hesitating because it looked like it could have touched Griese's hands. Now, if it would have hit his hands and then hit the ground, it would have been a fumble. The fact that it didn't.
And he knew it.
He knew that
right
it
away.
immediately didn't hit his hands, which means he must have really been zeroed in on that, like he knew it was coming.
Ed
or
Hockley
something.
must have played a little quarterback in his time because if the ball drops straight down, that's quarterback's fault. If the ball squirts out like that, it's the center's fault.
Wasn't there a famous
That's
play in the 60s with the Bears playing the Cardinals, and there was a snap and Kincannon or someone stepped back
Bobby
and
Douglas.
the guy snapped back and the ball was up in the air and a Cardinal player just came, ran and caught it and ran for the touchdown. Wasn't it? That's a famous,
I wish we had the video.
Back in
Maybe the rule
69.
came after
Wouldn't
that.
It probably
wouldn't that have been
did.
a false start?
Maybe the rule came after that.
Yeah,
The rule did come after that.
This
But it was a
one-
touchdown.
Yeah. Lovey had a great quote. It said, I haven't seen that rule before, but I'm in favor of it. Shocking. He loves it. And the internet is a great thing. Here's what I found on the internet today. There is a website called whatwouldedhockleydo.com. He's got a huge fan base out there, and you're not going to believe some of the things that Ed Hockley can do besides referee a football game. Can we show you this? I mean, this is truly amazing. Do you know that he invented apples? He also owns Makina, Illinois. He's that big. He can resist all viruses within the power of his mind. He wrote the 3rd verse of the Star-Spangled Banner. His biceps change with the barometric pressure, and he needs more cowbell. This is all from whatwouldedhockleydo.com. You can go check it out.
People with a lot of time on their hands.
They do, and apparently I did too, but I thought that was funny. All right, Brian Urlacher heard all about the criticism last week. Just 5 tackles against the Vikings, questions about his back, and no, he wasn't happy about it. Sunday, he responded, leading the Bears with 12 tackles, 8 of them solos, and many of them coming in the red zone. And after not saying much last week after the game, Brian stayed consistent, choosing to let his play do the talking. Go ahead, count the words.
You guys were able to keep them out of the end zone for most of the afternoon, though. Is that sheer willpower?
Just good defense.
Brian, you feel like in some ways this was a season-saving game?
Possibly.
Was it fun to sit on the sidelines and watch him go 153
Yes.
downfield for 97 yards?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Have you ever seen anything like that?
No.
Very short today, Brian.
Yep.
All right, I think I got 11 words. 11 words. I mean, he's the leader of the defense. I know he's got issues with some people in the media who are, I guess, criticizing him for his back or his play. Is it fair for, I shouldn't say, maybe fair is not the right word, but is it right for the leader of the team not to talk to the media?
Both leaders stepped up yesterday, and of course Moose on offense. He wears the C on his shirt, and so does Urlacher on defense wears the C. 12 tackles, he came to play, and the best way to shut up your critics is go out and play. And he did a great job, and I was real proud of him.
Yeah, he was professional on the field. Yeah.
All right, so that's
Professional on the field.
professional on the field, but maybe not in the locker room. I mean, you'd like to hear more about it. I mean, this was a big game, and maybe he stayed consistent because a win or a loss, he didn't say
The
anything.
organization could do a little more too on their behalf to make sure that they're, these guys who are the
Face of the franchise.
face of the franchise, and whether it's Brian Urlacher or Lance Briggs or whoever, I think that they want to be consistent. That's all we're looking for, is be consistent. If that's going to be the tack he takes the rest of the year, as we've been sort of led to believe, then we'll just have to get used to it.
And what
A very
players don't
diplomatic David Ha, by the way.
What they don't understand is that really, by talking to us us being the media, they're talking to the fans. This is how the fans get their.
The organization
and they don't understand that.
The Bears as an organization have to care about that before that matters.
And that's not happening right now.
Well, you saw.
Yeah.
I mean,
it would have been nice to know more from Brian Urlacher, except for yes, no, maybe so.
Yeah. I mean, they had the biggest win of the year, and I give Robin's right to an extent, because Brian Griese, tremendous poise, and I mean, you have to get out your thesaurus when he takes the podium after a game, because he's throwing out words like fortuitous, and I mean, that's refreshing. and Moose Muhammad, the post-game interview sheet, I don't have to tell anybody here at Comcast, hanging with the Moose Thursday nights, 11 o'clock. Front and back sheets. I mean, this guy was verbose, and it was tremendous.
And all the criticism that Rex Grossman has taken over the years, he's never pulled something like that, has he?
Well,
Rex Grossman handled himself like a pro. I'd never saw.
And Urlacher has been lauded from day one, and now now some of the criticism comes in. And, to act like that, that's not right.
Who would you guys rather listen to in an interview, Rex Grossman or Brian Griese?
Well, I'm not just saying.
But why?
There's no reason for that.
I understand, but it's just the way he comes across.
Who do you think Chicago would like to hear more from? I mean, you look at every jersey. 90% of the jerseys on a Sunday afternoon are Brian Urlacher. People love this guy.
Of course. Yeah.
Why doesn't he? He can do whatever he wants. I mean, obviously he is the face of the franchise, tremendous guy. But if you let people in your personality a little bit more, I mean, it would be probably.
Now, he's got a personality.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I mean, it's not showing during the season. It seems like in the offseason, that's when he shows his personality.
He was upset
more.
because we asked him reportedly about his back and about his, some of the.
But we are led to ask those questions because we don't know for sure, and we have to speculate because we're not hearing from him.
But you get tired of it,
That's part of the
deal. Part of the deal. That's right.
He's had two games this year where he had 5 tackles. That's what, and I think he only had 5 other times that happened in his career. The questions last week I thought were valid, fair, and they weren't,
And those questions, even after Sunday's game, were.
He had a great game. He came to play. I mean, he was Brian Urlacher yesterday. No question about it.
Absolutely.
The Lions are up next. Meanwhile, and you've got Brian Griese going up against a Lions defense that against the Tampa Bay Bucks gave up, Jeff Garcia was 37 of 45. So Griese could have a huge game on Sunday. Forget about the must-win kind of stuff, but this is another big game for them, and it seems like the Lions. How good are the Lions? Are they an average team?
They're 4-2. They're 4-2. I thought they were hanging around last year. They lost a lot of close games last year at the end. I don't know. It's hard to figure out, but they do have some pretty good weapons on offense, and that guy's pretty good there, Johnson.
They've got great skill, and they've got a couple of big tackles inside on defense, and that's what's stopping the run.
You can pretty much say about any team in the NFC, how good is this team? Because, from week to week, in the NFC especially, teams can be way up or way down, and you just don't know. There's just no dominant team in the NFC.
And the Bears can't throw 58 times against the Lions like they did last time, and they have to protect the football like they did yesterday. And also, they have to create turnovers. Yesterday was the first time that the Bears have gone back-to-back games during Lovie Smith's tenure without creating a takeaway. That has to stop against Detroit, or else they will score points.
And a Bears-Lions game would not be a Bears-Lions game without bulletin board material. It sounds like we've got some more. This was in the Tribune from Tommy Harris and was picked up by the Detroit Free Press. So in Detroit, they're seeing this from Tommy Harris. After the game, he said this: Detroit don't come into Chicago and win in our stadium. We have to be 4-4 going into our bye week. We have to be. I'm going to do whatever I have to do for us to be 4-4. Nothing wrong with what he said.
That's not bulletin board.
Good. I like it.
I'm more bothered by the grammar.
Yeah.
Well, Detroit not coming into Chicago and getting the win. I mean, that's...
Look, it's early, Chuck.
Right.
I mean, Roy Williams will say something dumb by Wednesday, okay?
Right.
This is not the last of it.
The good news, Detroit doesn't win on the road. That's the good news.
They're a little better now. They win once a year now. They used to never win.
It is a big game because the Lions are probably one of those teams that the Bears are going to be fighting for that either division or wild card spot.
All right. I think we have to say goodbye to Robin. Do we do that first? What's that? We have to talk about the Patriots? Oh, we have time to talk about the Patriots. All right. New England Patriots 7-0. Robin, you got some bonus time here for you. Patriots 7-0. They look unstoppable, unbeatable. They got the Colts coming up, but I mean the Miami Dolphins. I'd rather talk about the Miami Dolphins. This franchise is gone. What happened to this team? Where are they? Are they going to win a game this year? Have they won a game?
You know what the best show was Bill Belichick's press conference. That was even better.
What did he say?
Well, basically the press was on him because they were up 21 points. They put Tom Brady back in.
Yeah.
He scores another, gets his
Make sure they cover.
Gets his 5th touchdown pass.
I'll tell you, Matt Castle is living well. He was the backup quarterback to Carson Palmer and Matt Leinart at USC. He's now the backup quarterback to Tom Brady. He comes in, throws a pick, he gets benched.
Brady's the only guy in the NFL who's averaging more yards per game than Brian Griese.
Best job in the world is backup quarterback in the NFL.
Let's take a look at the AFC East standings, and this is surreal. I don't think this has ever happened in the history of the league. Look at this. Patriots 7-0. Just give them the title. No one's coming close. The Bills finally got another win. The Jets are 1-6. The Dolphins are 0-7. They're
playing
done.
for February though. The division is that's a given, and I think that they look like a team that they went out in the offseason and they reshaped their offense. I mean, that's why they're scoring at a record pace. They got 3 wide receivers that are playing like Pro Bowlers.
It still seems strange to say it, though, but when they come late in the season, they are not running the ball. And weather changes in New England, that still could be a factor.
You wonder about that. And with Moss and Welker.
Maroney played somewhat of the first half yesterday. Didn't play the second half, so he did have a few runs yesterday, and he'll probably be healthy as the weeks go on. But man, I mean, this team is that first half was about as good a football as you could possibly play.
Ugly stuff. Robin Earl, thank you very much for being here. We'll see you next Monday.
You betcha. I just wanted to say one quick thing about sad day yesterday with Max McGee passing away. I was a young kid, and he was I was a huge Packer fan, and he'll be dearly missed.
Yeah, a legend.
Absolutely. Had an opportunity to meet him several times, and that really hit me hard.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, well, a legend in Green Bay and throughout the NFL. Sad day for sure. Sports Night's coming up next at 6:30. Pat Boyle is here with a preview. Hey, Pat.
And the Boston Red Sox. Jake Westbrook, who won Game 3 for the Indians in Cleveland, beating Daisuke Matsusaka. Huge price tag on the Japanese right-hander, who did not complete the 5th inning, and tonight will pitch Game 7. The winner goes on to the World Series against the Colorado Rockies, which starts Wednesday on Fox.
Tommy Harris, who has 2 sacks today, is not out there on this key 3rd down. That hamstring has fatigued him late in games. Obviously, fatiguing him now is he lays on the ground just to get it stretched out.
Antonio Garay is in the lineup in his stead. It's 3rd down and 8. Eagles, after the timeout, looking at 3rd and 8 from the 45. Here's Westbrook. Westbrook breaks a tackle. Flag is down. Penalty marker down. Westbrook would get the 1st down to the 33-yard line, pending the flag thrown back at the 45. And it'll be a holding penalty, apparently, against the Eagles.
Offense number 79. 10-yard penalty. Repeat 3rd down.
Tough penalty, Todd Herremans, and maybe that's what got Westbrook loose.
Well, Herremans is the left guard. He's blocking Lance Briggs here. Lance Briggs did a pretty good job of acting, although he did have a little cloth there. And they just saw Lance Briggs go down like that. Pretty gutsy call by Andy Reid on 3rd and 8, trying to hang on to the ball. One of the old crossbuck play to Brian Westbrook.
Israel Adonijah, who has been playing inside in the nickel situations for the Bears, is in there now. Brent Selleck, the tight end, has checked in, along with Hank Baskett. 3rd and 17. McNabb swings it out to Westbrook. And Westbrook will get almost back to the original line of scrimmage, and 4th down coming up as Ricky Manning Jr. makes the tackle, a gain of 8 yards. As the clock will wind down to the 2-minute warning. Bears will need a touchdown. They have a man that could get them that in Devin Hester. We'll be right back.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Cadillac. Introducing the all-new 2008 Cadillac CTS.
In today's luxury game.
I may steal that.
It's all about team.
And the kick away as usual from Hester. And it's out of bounds, so a successful punt that time by Sav Rocca. A great kick, and they're going to mark it at the 6-yard line. Avant gave the official a pat on the back for a good mark over there, and of course the referee is the one that really marks it and makes sure where it goes out of bounds.
Well, you know, Sav is from Australia. I wonder if he even knows what kind of a good play that is. I mean, how much football he really knows.
May have an idea by now. We're in week 7, Brian.
That might be the best punt he's ever had. Keeping the ball away from Hester all day and then pinning the Bears offense down. The last person to score a touchdown for the Bears this year was Devin Hester last week in the 4th quarter against the Vikings.
They didn't want him to be the next, the Eagles didn't, to score a touchdown. So
yeah,
right now the Bears have to go 94 yards with no timeouts remaining. And of course Devin Hester is in the game, and now the head linesman and the referee.
The ball is on the 3-yard line out of bounds.
Well, it's even going to be better here for the Eagles. They're going to mark it at the 3, not the 6. So the Bears have to go 97 yards, to the dismay of Lovie Smith. A huge mountain to climb for the Bears. That's Hester. Greasy gets it out to Desmond Clark, and Clark will go out of bounds. He will pick up the first down to the 14.
Well, that allows what Greasy's doing there with the hands is to huddle up. That's the symbol to huddle up. When you get out of bounds, you can do that. The Bears are trying to work the sideline so they can get out of bounds and stop the clock. The Eagles are trying to keep them inbound. So part of the problem here, part of what the Eagles do, play outside leverage. Force these guys inside here, keep it in the field of play so the clock runs.
Longest play from scrimmage was 44 yards. Greasy to Muhsin Muhammad. This one off the hands of Adrian Peterson. Today's game produced by Bob Stenner and directed by Sandy Grossman. Our thanks to our entire crew. The associate director is Neil Gallo. The broadcast associate is Mark Schaefer. The technical producer is Bob Mueller. The technical director is Rick Tugman. The tape supervisor is Michael Nathanson. And the audio supervisor is Pat Lucatordo. Pre-game show produced by Scott Ackerson and directed by Bob Levy as the Bears look at 2nd and 10. This time Hester wide to the right. And Greasy will dump it off again to Peterson. Gets free, and they have another first down, but that's not going to do the Bears any good as Takeo Spikes takes them down, and the clock continues to run with under a minute and a half to go. And a no huddle, and this pass caught, and that's Hester on the reception, but they can't stop the clock as the Bears now have it up to the 32. Need to score a touchdown to pull this one out. Greasy, and going deep, Muhsin Muhammad downfield, but the pass nowhere near him and covered by Sheldon Brown, stopping the clock with 1:01.
Sheldon Brown has been phenomenal today. It's just some great individual efforts. Omar Gaither stopping a touchdown. Sheldon Brown defending a fade route in the end zone for the 2nd time in 2 weeks to make a difference.
But it was Omar Gaither really saved the touchdown. And there's Hester. Lito Shepherd defending him on 2nd down and 10. Greasy. And a flag goes down. And the pass incomplete. And we may have a holding call against the Bears.
Trent Cole forced that.
There were fouls by both teams on the play. Defense holding number 26, holding offense number 74. The penalty's offset. Replay 2nd down.
And that's a tough hold on the offense because defensive holding would have given the Bears a first down. But time is really working against them with 53 seconds and no timeouts remaining.
But the offsetting penalties allow the Bears to catch their breath here. Allows the speed guys on the outside to catch their breath, to get ready for a flurry of activity right now.
Second down and 10. Greasy under pressure gets it out to Desmond Clark, and he is pushed out of bounds at the 39 with 49 seconds remaining.
You know, last week on the touchdown throw to Devin Hester in the fourth quarter against the Vikings, I mean, Devin Hester just ran a straight go route, and he's the fastest guy on the field. So at some point, you just got to let him get on his horse and go and just put it out there. He ran right by a safety in Minnesota last week that was playing, he thought, as deep as he could be.
You think the Bears can hunt and peck their way down the field with this much time left?
I think you got to take a shot. Muhsin Muhammad again trying to get him lined up correctly.
There's Hester on third down and 3. Greasy's pass, and it's caught by Berrien. And a great hold on by Sheldon Brown. And once again, Brown prevented more yardage. They got 25, lining up in a hurry. And nearly a half a minute remaining. And now they clock the ball with 31. And the Bears
are in striking distance.
Yes, they are on the 36 right now. And this crowd a bit apprehensive right now because they have seen the Bears start from the 3-yard line and get it to the 36. Here's our game summary. The Eagles had dominated the numbers. Devin Hester, nothing in the return yards. Eagles have been doing a great job there. Second and 10, and the pass up the middle, and it's caught by Hester. Devin Hester brought down by Lito Shepherd at the 15, and now the Eagle defense on its heels.
Bears just trying to clock it again here to stop it as quickly as they can.
21-yard gain, so a 25 and a 21-yard pass. The last one to Hester, and the assignment now for Jim Johnson, keep the Bears out of the end zone, and they have gone down the field quickly here.
Well, here you go. I mean, you got second down now, so you can throw the ball in the middle of the field and run up and still clock it and have a chance to the end zone, or you could take 2 shots to the end zone right now. Or take a shot to the sideline and get out of bounds. Here's Hester at the top against Lito Shepherd.
And he's going to have safety help, as you see on the left. And the time of factor, the pass into the end zone, and it's caught for the touchdown. Muhsin Muhammad in the back of the end zone makes the grab. And the Bears lead.
What a drive by Brian Griese. The veteran Muhammad with a great presence in the middle of the field, and Griese laid it up there for him to go get it. Stepped up beautifully. Considine never looked for the ball, never saw it. Straight zone coverage. Sheldon Brown had Muhammad short, Considine deep.
And now the extra point by Robbie Gould, and this crowd stunned. And the Bears taking the lead, and the kick by Gould is good. It's a 19-16 game with only 9 seconds to go, and Muhsin Muhammad with a great catch, an 11-play, 97-yard scoring drive, and the Bears managed to do it in 1 minute and 44 seconds. A 15-yard pass, Griese to Muhammad, giving the Bears the lead.
And the Bears have life for the season. Their goal was to come here to win today and win next week. Get to 4-4 before the bye. Their season just got saved.
What an improbable drive that was, considering the way the Eagle defense has gone and the fact that the Bears would be stalled most of the time.
But the fact that it was just a 16-12 game. I mean, 97 yards against the Eagles defense has not happened this season with no timeouts. But the fact that they settled for all the field goals they did in that first half was what allowed the Bears to come down and make this drive to win.
And with Minnesota losing to the Dallas Cowboys, Minnesota could drop to 2-4, and the Bears with a win would be 3-4 and move up in the standings. Green Bay with a bye, and the Lions with a win over Tampa Bay at 4-2. But make no mistake about it, if the Bears hold on, they are back in the race, to say the least, and it would be a suffocating loss for the Eagles, who seemingly had this game in their control. Greg Lewis loses the ball, and Karel Buckhalter recovers, but only 4 seconds on the clock. And Brian Griese taking over for Rex Grossman and getting better by the week. A bit rusty against Detroit. Had a better game the following week against the Packers.
Side of the fumble, first down.
And then against the Minnesota Vikings, brought the Bears back 2 touchdowns down in the fourth quarter. 7 of 11 for 97 yards, spiking the ball twice in this last drive.
Boy, like he'd been doing it his entire life, and he has for the last 10 years, like his father did at Miami. But he got the ball to his wide receivers. They used the clock judiciously. They clocked it when they had to. You couldn't script 97 yards and a touchdown any better than the Bears did.
And McNabb on his way to his first loss against the Bears. Time has run out and the game is over, and this was a gut check win for Lovie Smith and the Chicago Bears on the road. They knew they were up against it in a really desperation game for them, as the Bears win it, go to 3-4 on the year, as the Eagles drop to 2-4. The final score, the Bears 19 and the Eagles 16, as Griese hit Muhsin Muhammad.
Are you kidding me? With their season hanging in the balance, the Bears go 97 yards, 11 plays, no timeouts. Brian Griese to Muhsin Muhammad, 15 yards on the game-winning touchdown. Bears pull one out in the final seconds in South Philly. 19-16 the final. They keep their season alive. They improve to 3-4 on the year. Robbie Gould hits 4 of 5 field goals, including one from 45 yards out. That bounced off the post and in. Are you kidding me? Welcome to the U.S. Cellular Bears Postgame Live. I am Pat Boyle, alongside 3 former Bears, the stylish Pro Bowl corner Jerry Azuma, 11-year NFL vet Jim Miller, and of course our lead blocker Dan Jiggets. How many of you guys seriously thought they had a chance? 97 yards. Well,
we called it. We called it.
You were sarcastically saying
that.
No,
I said retribution of the Eagles for that.
You're not drinking enough Kool-Aid, my friend.
You know what? Send me a case of whatever you're drinking. Send me a case of whatever.
That's right.
Look, this offense did not show the capability to do much except come through with a field goal with 4 different times in this game. But, I mean, talk about this drive for what Brian Griese did with no timeouts. Should have had some timeouts. Again, problems they had out there. Hester, they needed to call a timeout because he didn't know the play. And Des Clark was not in there for a field goal attempt. But this was tremendous.
See, here's what they did, though. When you look back on some of those drives, and this is a key. We always talk about what do you do with those drives. Do you actually use up some time? When you go to the running game, are you actually burning up some time, getting a 12-play drive together? That's what they were able to do. A couple of times they had a touchdown earlier in the ball game,
That's right.
and yet still they missed one block, and that's all it took for them not to get that touchdown. This time around, 97 yards, and it was sweet, too. That's the way the offense is supposed to work. Seems like sometimes it works better, Jimmy, when you just don't plan it, you know?
Well, I think so. Well, it does work better sometimes when you don't plan it. And when you look at the Chicago Bears, it wasn't a mistake-free game. You know, the Bears could have had points on the board. The botch snap by Brian Griese down in the red zone was huge. Goal line. Yeah, that was a huge play. It cost the Bears some points. But you want to know what? Turnover-free game. Bears coming into this game had turned over the ball more than their opponents, 5 out of the 6. Today, 0 turnovers. Voila.
Hey, let's go back to a couple of things. The play you talked about with Griese on the snap. But remember the other one, the McKee run down on the goal line when Bernard Berrian failed to block the guy coming from inside. That's another touchdown right there.
It is a touchdown.
So, you know, a couple of times down there, they had
Donovan
chances.
McNabb and the Eagles, they wasted all their opportunities in the red zone. A lot of that had to do with the Bears' defense. Some of that had to do with the Eagles themselves. We have a lot to get to the next 90 minutes as we break down this game. You're going to hear Lovie and Brian Griese's press conferences in their entirety from South Philadelphia. William Jackson will have player interviews from Lincoln Financial Field. We want you to get interactive throughout this show. Some of you have already sent your emails in. Some of you are now changing those emails, I'm sure. As
delete.
Send your questions and your comments, your Jerry's GQ favorites, your MVP to ComcastSportsnet.com. Hit the link to Chicago. Click on the postgame live icon. We'll read as many as we can over the next 90 minutes. We'll also hear from Donovan McNabb as we have Cruz covering the Eagles as well in this one. But let's get things going with our opening kickoff, and we begin with Dan Jiggins. Jiggs?
Well, you know, when the game was there for the taking, take it. And that's exactly what the Bears did at the end today. Now, granted, they put you right on the wire right till the end to take it, but they had so many opportunities to take away this game today, and they stayed in there, but they failed to take it until until the end of the game.
Mm-hmm. For me, it'd be just Bears. One, not caught or not giving the ball up today. They didn't cough it up at all. And when the game matters the most, marquee players got to step up and make plays. The past couple weeks, the Bears haven't done it. Today, Muhsin Muhammad, Brian Griese stepped up today.
That's right.
So defensively, Tommy Harris getting 2 sacks when they need it. So to me, crucial plays by big-time players. You need that in every game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they executed their game plan, which was good to see. You see them go out there, execute, and do the necessary things, getting back to basics, finally, catching the ball, you know, not turning over the ball, doing the necessary things to win. So it was a big win for the Bears today.
And let's face it, on the offensive side, this was a passing attack that won in this game. Obviously on that 97-yard drive, but again, the running game pretty much non-existent. I like what they did. They spread some people out in this game. Olsen far to the right, Moose in motion.
Let me ask you this, though, about the run game. The objective of a run game is what?
To get some yardage.
To make yards, right?
Yes, I think.
Well, when you were watching the run game, to a large extent, the guy who was most successful in the backfield today was Adrian Peterson. Now, we're starting to see a little bit of Cedric Benson coming along, but Cedric runs with his head down too much. You know, when you look at him going through the line of scrimmage, he's plunging. Get your head up and look and see where you're going.
17 carries for Ced Benson, just 46 yards, still under 3 yards per carry. His longest was 9 yards. And guys, I think the most telling thing is in a crucial time in this game, 3rd and goal at crunch time, and Cedric Benson was not even in your backfield.
He doesn't have the speed.
Overall, not even in there.
He doesn't have the speed to go outside. He's not a make-you-miss guy. He's not a guy who picks up his feet when he's coming through the hole. Other than that, he's, you know, an okay running back.
And missed another pass protection today.
Pass protection
And missed another pass protection.
Jimmy, talk about some of the personnel changes we saw out there. We saw the wide receiver screen, some of the wrinkles we saw to this offense finally for Ron Turner.
Awesome, because it's funny, we called this play a couple weeks ago to Devin Hester. What a great call by Ron Turner. Inside blitz zone. Throw the smoke screen to Devin Hester, gets positive yardage, gets a big play, gets you a first down. You can see him trying to involve this guy more and more. And again, when he's on the outside, you can stretch the middle, and it leaves the middle open for Muhsin Muhammad, who had a couple big catches today. So, you know, he had struggled with, obviously, a play call that cost him a timeout, but hopefully this guy he can continue because he opens everything else up.
Hey, Muhsin Muhammad is at the podium right now. Let's listen in live from South Philadelphia.
Great fans, great city. And they've got a great organization and team here. We knew it was going to be a fight. I mean, we knew it was going to be a fight. It went back and forth. Both defenses played well enough to keep the other team out of the end zone until, excuse me, the second half, right at the end of the game. And, you know, they went down and scored, kept us out the end zone. I mean, we had some stuff happening where field goals were bouncing off the upright and everything. And so, I mean, it was just about every kind of script you could write. And, you know, the offense, which normally for us is kind of Achilles' heel for the team, was able to come back and drive the ball. I mean, 97 yards. We started on the 3-yard line. It was very loud. You know, we made a few plays and were able to, you know, get down into a position where we could take a couple shots. And, you know, Brian gave me an opportunity to catch that ball. I mean, defensive back just had his back turned to the ball, and he threw kind of a jump ball out there, and I just made a little bit of move and adjusted to the ball in the air, and it just, you know, it was just it's a great effort for our team, and it was a great win for our team. And go ahead.
Did you guys realize when you came out on the field at the 3-yard line, the season was pretty much on the line with that drive?
I mean, when we came out in the second half, we pretty much knew, like, I mean, our season is on the line. I mean, this game, we talked about it last night in the hotel in our team meeting, and you know, we're pretty fired up in our meeting. We had terrible room service, and the food was terrible at the hotel. I mean, they did just about everything they could do here to make the trip unpleasant. But I mean, we were able to stay focused, and it was good.
Talk about Griese too. Griese, the last 3 weeks, he's actually come through in the clutch. It paid off again over the past 2 weeks. Did you gain confidence from what he had previously done?
I mean, starting back when we played Detroit, I think you know, that being Griese's first game after not playing for 2 years, and he comes in against Detroit. He throws like 58 balls. You know, he leads the team down the field. I mean, he had a couple bad plays in that game, but for the most part, I mean, he took a beating in that game, getting hit and throwing the ball 58 times. And his shoulder had to be pretty sore from throwing the ball that much. And then the following weeks after that, I mean, the offense continued to get better and better and better. And I think we still have a lot of room to grow in this offense. But, you know, Griese's just done an outstanding job just leading us, being out there, having confidence at that position. You know, his decision-making has been great. And, you know, I mean, it's evident. I mean, the last 2 weeks we've had 21 points there in the last minute of the game. You know, I mean, it's just been pretty wild. And I think it's kind of unexpected coming from, you know, Chicago Bear offense.
Talk about the Devin Hester factor, Moose.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you know, Hess is out there, and he's just making plays. I mean, I think we're finally finding a way to get him involved in the offense. You know, and we all have to be patient because, I mean, this is all new to him. And I think it helps having me out there on the field with him because, I mean, it just seems like, you know, I'm kind of helping him out with his routes and helping him out with some of the plays out there. But, I mean, when it comes down to playmaking ability, I mean, he's got it. I mean, he's got a knack for playing this game.
It seems like
His confusion on the field in the last drive almost helped you guys. Does that confuse the defense when he's out there?
No, I don't think the defense was confused by our confusion, but I will say I'm confused by the statement that I just made. And he just, you know, when we're out there, we're just talking. I don't think we're necessarily confused, but I would say that, you know, we're just talking out there, keeping our communication open, making sure that we're all on the same page, and that's what's going to make us better, is being able to talk out on the field.
Moose, what is it about Brian Griese in the fourth quarter and the 2-minute drill that you guys have been so successful?
You know, I think he does have a lot of poise, a lot of confidence. You know, as long as we give him time back there, he can make good decisions with the football. And, you know, he's very knowledgeable of the game after playing in the game for 10 years. I mean, the guy's, you know, he knows how to read the defenses. He knows where to go with the ball, pre-snap. And, I mean, that's really the name of this game, is just to really know where you're going to go with the football. And, you know, it's not really a guessing game. It's being able to take that drop, make the reads, and get the ball to the guy that's open.
Talk about the second half adjustments. You obviously came out and changed a lot of things on offense.
Yeah, we made some adjustments. There were a couple things we did different on our running game. Obviously, you know, Sid did a pretty decent job running the football again today. We made some adjustments as far as our play calling and what we saw them doing. And I went to a lot more slot formation, and, you know, we got Devin involved, and there were some other things that we did with Bernard and Mark. And so, I mean, everything was just kind of working. We weren't on the field as much as we would like to be. You know, it was just a tough game. They got a great offense. They kept us off the field. They kept us out the end zone. We had a couple penalties where we couldn't put the ball in the end zone down there in the red zone. But I think that, you know, we'll make some adjustments and make some improvements and, you know, start getting some touchdowns on those drives.
What was the attitude of the huddle going on the field? Because you're 0-3, no timeouts left. You guys hadn't scored a touchdown all day.
I mean, we knew we had to win the game. I mean, you're on the 3-yard line. I mean, we were hoping we started on the 20, but, I mean, we were dealt that crappy hand, and, you know, we just had to play the cards that were dealt. And so, you know, we went out there, and, you know, we're sitting in the huddle. Olin goes, you know, how sweet would it be to go 97 for the win? And, I mean, we started putting it together.
How important is the momentum in this league?
I'm sorry?
How important is the momentum in this league?
I think it's big. I mean, when you win on the road like this and you start gaining some momentum, you know, that confidence is big too. You know, you need that confidence, especially entering into the second half of the season. I mean, we'd love to go into our bye week, you know, at 4-4. We got a chance to redeem ourselves because we lost a game against Detroit that we felt like we should have won. And we got them at home with an opportunity to go into our bye week and even the score with a whole half of football, a whole half a season of football left. And so, you know, that's our goal, is to even our score up, even our record up, and then go into the second half with, you know, with a purpose. All right, thanks.
Musa Muhammad, after catching the game-winning touchdown in Philadelphia. There are the wide receiver grades, B-, B, and B. 9 different receivers for Brian Griese on this afternoon. And Lovie Smith is sitting down there at Lincoln Financial. Let's listen into the head coach of the Chicago Bears, brought to you by AT&T Real Yellow Pages.
You know, balls on the 97-yard, balls on the 3-yard line. No timeouts.
you need some players to really step up. Of course, Brian has played well throughout, but it starts with him. As our quarterback, I thought he did a super job spreading the ball around. Dez Clark, big one. Devin Hester, Bernard. Then, of course, finishing it up with Moose. Last night and all week, we've talked a lot about, playing our best game. If we lose, fine, but we didn't want to have any regrets, and I think that was the case today. Well-played game, I think, on both sides. I thought Philly played hard right up until the end. Offensively, we moved the ball against them fairly well throughout the entire game. Defensively, they moved the ball on us a little bit earlier, but we kept them to 3 points, which was big. Defense tightened up a little bit in the second half. So, we talk about team win. This was definitely the case. I've talked to you a lot about the turnovers that we've had. We protected the ball well. Even though we didn't get a lot of takeaways, we protected the ball well. Injury-wise, Brandon McGowan injured his elbow. I think that's the only serious injury, if I say, that we had. Questions?
What was the last play designed to be?
The last play, it was a pass designed to go to Moose, and he, we wanted him to catch it in the end zone.
Logan, what's to say about what Brian Griese did coming in 97 yards away with no timeouts, especially after the offense hadn't scored?
Well, we had a little bit of time. We, like all teams, practice the 2-minute situation. I can say that we've never practiced that 2-minute situation from the 3-yard line with no timeouts, but you had time, and we have playmakers on the field. The guys didn't panic, and it helps when you get a little going early, which we did with Dez Clark's first catch. So, it's just you won't see that, a lot of times, with the team going that distance.
Does this build confidence? A win like this with Griese driving, as you say, 97 yards, is this something that can turn a season? Do you feel like it was a point?
Well, going into the football game, it wasn't a do-or-die game, but as far as we were concerned, the playoff tournament had started. We talk a lot about just winning this first game, but we know the hole we would have been in if we didn't pull this one out. So big game, and just glad we pulled it out.
They punted away from Devin each time, but you got good field position. Is that something we can live with?
Yes, that's something we'll have to live with teams punting, kicking away from Devin. But our field position has been good since teams started to kick the ball away from him. So we'll live with that. Devin doesn't have to take any shots, and we get good field position.
How much do you have to live with the growing pains that come with Devin on offense? Some of his confusion was part of the reason why he had no timeouts at the end?
Again, we'll live with anything Devin Hester does, believe me. He's making a lot of progress. We had a little bit of trouble on a few of those times, but in the end, it didn't hurt us.
Have you ever seen that rule come into play before, the one on the snap where it goes?
There was a lot of firsts for me today. Third year, I guess it's the fourth year. Head coach, no, I haven't seen that, but I'm all in favor of that rule for sure.
Anything else for Coach?
Thank you very much.
A very jovial Lovie Smith, thanks to that 97-yard touchdown drive. As we take a look at the Bears receivers in Week 7, Moose coming through with 5 for 79 yards and the touchdown. Bernard Berrian 4 for 65. Devin Hester needed some help from Pops out there, knowing some of the plays. This was really his only contribution because of John Harbaugh's game plan to kick away from Devin Hester. But 9 different receivers in all. This passing game seemed to take a step forward today, Jim.
I think it was huge. I think, Brian Griese did a great job pushing the ball down the field, especially in the 2-minute drills, which was what we would have wanted to see last week against Minnesota before the half. So Devin Hester did make a big catch on a deep dig route in the 2-minute. But again, getting the balls to the playmakers. Muhsin Muhammad catching the big touchdown and work in the middle of the field. But Griese did a great job spreading it out all day.
Not to get too carried away with drinking the Bear Kool-Aid, but something that still bothers me, though, and maybe, Jim, you haven't been a quarterback all those years, can explain it to me and explain it to Bear fans everywhere. why the 3-yard pass? I mean, seriously, I mean, if you want 3 yards, give it to Cedric.
And that's unexplainable.
Well, that's why.
2.7.
That's the trouble. That's the trouble. I'm trying to break this down here, James. That's the trouble with blitz zones, though. It causes you sometimes you think it's hot and you throw it hot. If you saw the one Philadelphia brought the corner blitz, Brian Griese expected the receiver to run a hitch route and break it hot there on that play. Didn't happen. He gets the sack in the end zone, or a sack in the backfield. So it wasn't perfect, but they made plays when they needed to make it. So that was a big step for the Bears.
All right, so every time you see that 3-yard route running, you know it's a blitz.
Hey, let's get to the report card now on the coaching situation here. And Lovie had some fun in there. There were some weird situations in this game, referring to when Kreutz hiked the football and basically went to the Eagles. They call it false start. That's letter of the law.
30-some years. Never heard of that one. I like that one.
But we will take it. Thank goodness Lovie had the challenge on Olsen's fumble. Luckily, there was a TV timeout there to help him back in the first quarter. Your thoughts on the coaching overall? I mean, would these grades have dramatically changed had Brian Griese not led him to a 97-yard scoring drive? Come on.
I don't think so. We both had ours done before.
Yeah, I don't have a problem. I thought the coaching was great when you look at it, because when the mistakes on the field that were made were all player-induced. When you think of Devin Hester, how they had to call timeouts, he didn't know the play. When you think of Des Clark, you got to know you're on field goal and get out there. But if you saw the Bears coaching staff, especially defensively, and that's one question I'd like somebody to ask Bears Lovie Smith, defensively, they went to a 46 sometimes on defense. They walked Brian Urlacher on the outside. Was that Bob Babbage? Was that Lovie Smith making the adjustments? So I think overall they're trying to make changes to get wins in this team, and it helped them win today.
It seemed like they were not as willing to be casual about it. And I'm not saying that in a bad, but like you just sit in that too deep zone and just kind of let people do whatever they want to do for a while. Seemed like they were attacking them a little bit more today in today's ball game, and I really enjoy seeing them play like that, because I think that when they play like that, the guys are a little bit more into the football game.
Right. Definitely. We got a lot to get to. We had red zone efficiency, 1 of 3 for the Bears, just 1 of 4 for Donovan McNabb and the Eagles on this day. The bend but don't break defense, it was what we saw pretty much most of last year. But credit these guys. When they got into the red zone, Bears defense did enough to keep the Eagles into kicking situations.
First of all, the Eagles aren't good in the red zone, as we all know anyway. Horrible, actually terrible. And, it was good the fact that they came away with, no touchdowns and strictly field goals. But one thing that really disappointed me for the Bears defense was their third down efficiency, 50%. That's really uncharacteristic of the Chicago Bears. In order to be a good defense, you have to stop teams on third down. So they caught away with a big break, but 50% on third down, don't like to see that.
I'm wondering what's going to happen as we go through the season with the approach, the Hester approach, shall we say, the teams are taking, and that is giving up all that great field position.
Until this Bears offense on a consistent basis proves that they can burn you and take advantage of starting around the 40-yard line, I think what you saw today from the Eagles, kicking it, pooching it.
A distinct lack of respect for your offense, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Well, they haven't proven it.
They haven't proven it to that final drive.
So until you improve it, then you're obviously not going to be respected. So the Bears, we said that they were waking up last week offensively. I think they have, and this week they did even better.
Before we go to Andy Reid quickly, did this save the season? Was the season saved thanks to that 97-yard drive?
Yes,
all the way across the board. All right, well, Andy Reid, he loses for the first time in facing the Chicago Bears, as they had come into this one winning 5 straight under Andy Reid. He addressed the media a short time ago. Let's listen in.
All right, there were no significant injuries tonight. That's a tough game right there. It's a prime example of when you don't take care of business in the red zone, that it comes back and get you. You have opportunities to score touchdowns, and and then you give teams opportunities to take advantage of you, and that's clearly what happened today. And then obviously, if you have a team backed up, for a 97-yard drive there, that can't take place. Time's yours.
What resulted in the red zone struggles on offense for this?
I'll go back and look at it. I don't know. we'll see.
Defense has tired you a lot all year. Can you explain that, Lance?
Well, they made some plays, and we didn't make enough.
The holding penalty really hurt you today on your last
Mistakes, mistakes. They killed you. Can't have those. Can't have mistakes.
Andy, were you familiar with that rule about the snap? You know, we could have had a turnover.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if he touches it or not. If it, if it goes through the legs of the quarterback like that, then it's a problem. As long as he doesn't have possession of it.
Andy Reid, who's had a tough year both off the field and on the field so far for the Philadelphia Eagles, takes us to our Cadillac poll question. In 34 games, what is your opinion of Cedric Benson? That's how many he's played right now, including the postseason. Is it A, average at best, B, a work in progress, be patient, or C, he's a first-round bust? Log on to ComcastSports.com, hit the link to Chicago, then click the Bears page, vote away. Plus, send us your email questions to vote for the game's MVP. We'll have the results coming up on U.S. Cellular Bears Postgame Live. Just for 41, including a huge 21-yard pitch and catch from Greasy to Hester on the game-winning touchdown drive. He addressed the media on the field at Lincoln Financial Field just a short time ago.
This game was the first time it happened all season. You know, we came in expecting that we're going to get a couple balls kicked to me, but at the end of the day, they kicked away, and like I say, we got a lot of respect for our return game.
Did you feel bad because there was that time they had to call a timeout in the fourth quarter? It seemed like there was some miscommunication as to who was supposed to be where. It left you guys with no timeouts, and like you guys pulled it out.
Yeah, that's what we do. Sometimes we get put in predicaments like that in practice, and we just got to fight through it and just figure out a way to get the job done.
Wow, did you hear those Philly fans in the background? They weren't making dinner plans, folks. Here's some of the email questions that are streaming in. I want people to start giving Greasy his due, says DA from Carroll Stream. Most people were knocking his play from day one. He just keeps getting better and better. Give him his credit. Fair enough. Do you think, let's not dance on Rex, but what he was able to do, 97 yards, no timeouts, I don't know if Rex could have done that.
You know what? The note I wrote to myself before the show started with Greasy, was this the best performance you've seen out of a Bear quarterback over the last 2 or 3 seasons? Think back.
Wow.
When you start adding
it's
up,
kind of an indictment.
I'll agree. I'll concede
No,
this.
because Rex had some better games last year.
Yeah, he did have better games.
Let's put it all in the
this
context.
This guy was going to be in the Pro Bowl the first 6 games of the year last year.
True, right.
Let's take that back.
You gotta
think about that.
All right,
but now, when you look at it, this was Brian Greasy's best game. No doubt about that. This was Brian Greasy's best game, without a doubt. But the offense has changed. We said that last week. When you're putting it up 52 times against the Lions, last week they put it up over 40. This week they're putting over 40. Now they're making an effort. They know they have to be more aggressive offensively. I think we've all come to realize that due to the 27th
Okay, well, last year
when
when things were going great in those 6 games that everybody's going to send them to Honolulu. How many passes were we seeing a game then? Probably about 25 to 30.
Around 30.
So I'm looking at it in its totality, the situation that you find yourself in.
Yeah,
a
backed into a corner,
right.
must drive. Yeah, I don't because it never was in the week 7 last year. They still hadn't lost a football game. They were beating San Francisco. Then they were going to lose to Miami the following week. All right, let's get to the quarterback report card. Now, again, Brian Greasy does not go to the podium like Rex has done in years past. He elects to shower, go through treatment, then he addresses the media at his locker room. So we'll hear from him coming up on the show. But here are the report cards: B, A, B+. And something we heard out there when Hester was, talking to the media was, did he feel bad that they had to call timeout because he didn't know the play? Maybe we're starting to see some of the reason why we didn't see more of Devin early on in this season, because the guy is still learning the offense, Jim.
Well, especially against a defense like this, when you're going against zone dogs, blitz zones, things of that nature, what Philly brings to the table, there's a lot more thinking going on. It's not just the verbiage of the offense. Hey, do I break out on this? Do I cut down my route on this particular coverage? So all those things are going through his head. This is an exotic defense they played today, and it led to some problems, but the Bears made big plays.
What do you mean by that, an exotic defense?
Well, they bring, like today, you saw corner blitzes. It's 2 off a side, but it could be a corner and it could be a safety up there. It's just things you don't see normally. There are anomalies to defensive blitzes. So that's a struggle. How do you identify it when we say, hey, you're hot off too strong? Well, that's technically a linebacker, but that was a corner that came. So am I hot? Am I not? So those things are big factors in an offense.
Let's switch gears briefly and talk about the defense right now. In this game, no Darwin Walker, although there was a report on the radio, a couple things that he was milling around talking to some of the Eagles before the game.
Tom Thayer was not happy today.
Well, he may have redeemed himself, according to Zach Seidman, after the first few series. He asked the Bears if he could address the offensive line to tell them what they were doing out there defensively, since he's been with the team.
So he's doing a little recon.
So maybe
I'm liking this better.
Yeah.
I'm liking this better now.
Add a couple bonus points onto that. But no Darwin Walker in this game. They switched Manning back to safety. He had Tremaine McBride on the corner. He had some missed tackles early on, but all in all, not a huge problem from this patchwork defense.
You know, one of the things though that we saw in this game, again, you know, Brian Westbrook is an outstanding running back.
Yeah,
but we saw again the problem that they have sometimes on the backside of a play and the pursuit angles on the backside of a play. Because a couple of times he would take it to the left and then break it back to the middle, and there was nobody there to make that stop because there was a slot that was open, and that's normally where you see them. They always talk about getting in their gaps or getting their fits. That's where you normally see the defense coming in and somebody making the play.
You know, something we saw in this game, we wondered why they were being able to move the ball, the Eagles, from 20 to 20 fairly easily in that cover two. But once you get inside the red zone, that soft area to exploit in the cover two is kind of tight to say the least. And maybe that's some of the reason why you didn't see them having the success in the last 20 yards.
I think the big problem for the Eagles is really in their red zone offense is no L.J. Smith. That's a big problem. And McNabb missed a couple guys today. Jason Avant dropped a football down in the end zone. Matt Schobel, Don McNabb overthrew him. So they're a team much like the Bears that are struggling offensively to score when they need to score. So same thing. Players got to make plays. Donovan's got to hit them. Fortunately for the Bears, he didn't today because it wasn't always perfect again.
Your thought on how the Bears secondary played today?
Well, you know what? The secondary could have played better, as we know, but I think that they were pretty solid for the most part. You know, they were coming away and making some plays. Adam Archuleta, I'm not exactly sure what was going on with the tackling. You know, there was a couple of times where he could have made the play, but he got tackled. He got blocked and just didn't make the play. So I was really kind of confused what was going on with there. But overall, I think they played pretty strong. You know, McBride had to step up really big, too.
Take a look at the secondary report card, BCB. You know, a lot of us last week when we were at the Cadillac Club thought we had seen the last of Adam Archuleta in a starting role. And let's face it, Lovey has said and has shown that if you're not getting it done on the field, he will yank you off. Now, he took a lot longer with Rex Grossman, but certainly on the defensive side, he's made a lot of changes. Certainly last year he did. Do you think that they will be looking for some free agents out there or ways to strengthen this secondary with the bye week looming, a guy that could get up to, you know, there must be some cover two people out there that can do a better job right now than Adam Archuleta.
I think, to be honest with you, I think every day they're looking to improve the football team. If they can find somebody somewhere, and they're scouring the wires every day, trying to figure out who's available and who might be able to come in and help them. And the question about whether or not they're going to do that at safety, I think it's probably been going on since Mike Brown got hurt. But it's just a problem now is during the season and everybody has their guys now. And as a matter of fact, when you look around the league, you see a lot of the Bears' former safeties playing. Some of them starting, two of them starting, I believe, in the National Football League.
Don't forget the trade deadline has passed, so it's going to be somebody off the street is who they're going to get. And you know, you look at safeties like Donovan Darius just got cut by the Miami Dolphins. There are not going to be too many guys out there that are going to be able to come in and help you, and it's going to be tough for them to do. So you look right now, Chris Harris down in Carolina, he's their leading secondary tackler. Has caused 4 forced fumbles. He has an interception. Pretty productive guy the Bears got.
And Cameron Worrell earlier today for the Dolphins was playing. You know, it gets back to my old Jack Pardee theory about Lower Wacker. Good on the Lower Wacker, maybe find some guys that can fill in.
Yeah, well, it looks like certainly one guy didn't take well to all the criticism he received in the last week, that being Brian Urlacher. After 5 tackles last week, he leads the team in tackles today with 12. Overall, he had a pass deflection as well. Your thoughts, Jigs, on what you saw from this defense from the Bears' perspective?
Well, you know, some of it was very enjoyable. Number one, I like the fact that they got some pressure on the quarterback, on Donovan McNabb. Donovan was not able to sit back there on a consistent basis and relax and find an open receiver. The reason why some of those passes were dropped and some of the passes were errant was because Donovan was getting some pressure. The other thing, the one thing I was a little disappointed in, though, Lance Briggs didn't have the same kind of game that I was expecting to see him have this week as he's had over the last 3 or 4 weeks. The last 3 or 4 weeks, he's just been simply off the charts. Today was a less than off the charts day for Lance Briggs. And so, as a result, I kind of knocked them down, the linebackers as a group. But Brian came back real strong.
Let's take a look. Lance Briggs ends up with 5 tackles on this day. And as far as sacks, they only got to Donovan McNabb 3 times. Your thoughts on the pressure from the front four, Jim?
I thought second half it was better. There's no question about that. And from the first half to the second half, and it says a lot about adjustments again, for whether it's Lovie Smith or Bob Babbage, they got to Brian Westbrook, slowed that guy down. He was over 51% of their offense. First half, the guy got off. Second half, they contained him. So I thought overall it was a great performance.
The good news is he never really broke one.
Yeah.
And that's, unlike last week with Adrian Peterson, where I think every time he touched the ball, he broke it for at least 20.
All in all, the Bears improved to 3-4 on the season, basically saved their playoff hide on this afternoon with a great come-from-behind victory. 19-16, the final. Got a lot to get to. William Jackson is at the Link in South Philly. We're going to hear from Brendan Ayanbadejo. We're going to hear from Brian Griese coming up in just a little bit. So keep it right here on U.S. Cellular Bears Postgame Live. Again, the tight end's a big part of this Bears offense. 9 catches in all, 5 to Desmond Clark for 32 yards. He had a big one to start the game-winning drive, and Greg Olsen, 4 catches, 48 yards. The fumble that he had lost was reversed after a challenge, and we talked about that. Thankfully, they had that TV timeout there. That's one area I'd like to see the coaching staff
a little slow with the uptake on those.
Yeah. I thought Lovie was waiting for it to come out in DVD and then take it home, review it.
But we were discussing this. So is it Lovie or is it his guys upstairs that he's depending on to tell him, hey, review this, ask for a review in this one? Those guys have to get to him a lot quicker and a lot more definitively because it just takes a little bit too long sometimes. And Philly was Philly's a team that'll come out and run a play on you just to erase the opportunity.
It's also some gut too, Jim, like especially early on in a game. There's still a lot of time left. You can maybe roll the dice a little bit more there. If you see your offense is struggling, you finally get over midfield, and you might take a gamble on it.
Oh, absolutely. I think at any point, especially for the Bears in this game, it's first half. You're trying to do anything to get momentum, and so Lovie obviously made the call through the flag. Need to be done. It worked in their favor, and it's something that they could build off.
I tell you what, he's also probably a student of history. His challenges, not so good so far. Maybe he's like, you know what, I'll wait on this one.
We've got a lot of emails coming in about the time that was added or taken off to the clock. Basically what happened there in the fourth quarter, the officials made the wrong change as far as the time official did. It took away when he should have added, so I think that was the discrepancy there. Kevin from Chicago wants to know, why does this coaching staff continue to wait until it's almost too late to make aggressive play calls? I think a lot of people are looking at what has happened certainly last week against Minnesota, where they had success at the end of the game because they were down, and again today. Did you see the play calling change at all, guys, from the beginning to the middle to the end?
At different points in the game, you're trying to establish different things. Obviously, when you start off the game, it was apparent that they wanted to try to establish the run. Right. That's something they've made as their mission statement, to establish the run. That's why we were talking about earlier. You not only want to establish the run, but you also want to gain yards while you're doing it. But obviously, you want to do that, then go to your play action, then go to the deep passing game. But sometimes, we believe that you need to start going deep a little bit earlier.
Yeah. Two, it's a function of knowing what Philadelphia is doing. All right, what are their tendencies? What blitzes are they showing? So it's a lot of dinks and dunks early to the tight ends, and then they started to attack down the field once they knew what blitzes were coming.
They stayed patient, too, which was a good thing.
Des Clark tied Musa Muhammad for the lead in receptions today with 5. He's standing by with our William Jackson live in Philadelphia. Take it away, Billy Jack.
Pat, appreciate it, partner. And Des, again, talk about this. A huge win with only 2 or 3 minutes left. Things look bleak, but you guys have one last shot, one last opportunity. You have to go 97 yards with no timeouts.
Right, and we was able to do it, which was the best thing.
No, that's something that we work on every Thursday in practice, not necessarily from the 3-yard line, but the 2-minute drill. So Will's comfortable going into that situation because it's something that we work on every week.
And it seems like, and we've talked about this before, whenever the tight ends get involved, some things happen. Just talk about how Griese is maturing with you guys, with you, Olsen, Gilmore.
Right. It's been a good 3 or 4 games with Griese because he is looking for the tight ends, and when we get those opportunities, we're able to make the plays and just keep the chains moving, score touchdowns or whatever it may be. So it's always nice when you get involved, and Griese is keeping us involved right now.
And you talk about Griese too, Des, but I mean over the last 3 games, he's made the comebacks. When you had to have it down the stretch, even Minnesota, you lose it, but he got the touchdown to put you right in position to make it a game.
No, he's been playing excellent here these last 3 games, keeping us in the game like you said. And one thing he brings to the huddle is a calmness, and when you see that he's self-assured, you feel self-assured that your quarterback is ready to go. So that calmness that he brings to the huddle is great for the whole offense.
And he had that calmness today when you had 97 yards with no timeouts to go?
Right. We come into the huddle and he, give us our plays. There's no different tone in his voice, just ready to go, give us our plays. Let's break the huddle. Let's go do it.
How huge was this win today?
It was big. I mean, 2 and 5 sounds better than 3 and 4, and we're closer to getting back to 500.
Okay.
Big time. Tell
me something about this guy. Huh?
Hey, this is the man. This is the man right here.
Come on.
Big time plays from big time people.
Now, since I have both of you here too, again, just walk me through the emotions. 97 yards, talked about a little bit in there, but 97 yards to go. Did anybody say anything in particular to say this is it?
I don't think so. It was more like, here's your few plays, and let's go marching down the field. It wasn't any panic. Everybody was calm, just ready to go out and make plays. It wasn't anything different from anything that we practice every week.
Well, I remember in the huddle, and Dez was coming in a little bit late, so Olin was in the huddle, and Olin did say, he said, hey, we did it last week twice. So, I mean, it's nothing to go do it again. He said, how sweet would it be to write the script? 97 yards for the offense right now.
I missed that part. I missed that part. Yeah, I did come in the huddle late right there.
Yeah. But I mean, to get this, because we were talking about it, if you don't get this win today, I mean, you can't even go to the bye week 500 even or anything, and it makes it difficult. But to pull it out, how big a relief is it when just 3 minutes left in the game? It seems like it could be suspect to get a win.
Well, just knowing that we can go into the bye week 500, that's what we're trying to get to. That's the best we could do right now, so that's what we're shooting for. And if we do get to the bye week at 500, we'll feel better about ourselves.
It'll also give us an opportunity to get some guys back on the field. We'll have a couple of weeks to get guys rested. I mean, we got like Tommy Harris out there. We got Darren Walker out there. Nate Vash will be coming back healthy. Give a chance for Peanut to get a little bit healthy because we're kind of banged up right now. So to come back 500 after the bye week would be an awesome deal to go down that final stretch of 8 games in the season and close out like a champion.
Try to make a run at it.
No doubt. Okay, before I let you guys go, I want to get your response. But Moose, walk me through the touchdown, the play, what happened, and I want to get your response once it happened.
Well, basically, I mean, we saw something in the defense where they were bringing a guy off of my head, and I was getting up on the safety, pretty fast. And so Griese told me, say, hey, get up on the safety, give me a good route. He's gonna give me a chance to catch the ball. And I ran a good route. He threw it back shoulder, which means he threw it behind the safety's head. The safety was kind of facing me and not facing the ball, so there's no way he saw the ball. And I made him think I was gonna go over the top of him, and I just stopped and came back.
Veteran move.
This made,
just being Moose.
When you fishing,
right?
And you put that little bait out there, and you jigging it, and then when they bite, now you got it.
Now he going all this fishing talk. Here we go.
That's the thing. But now when he got in the end zone and you saw the official raise his hand, your reaction?
Oh man, I just started yelling. I yelled all the way till I got to him. Just Moose all the way to. I ran like 20 yards to get to him.
Turned into a fan.
I was yelling Moose the whole time, just like the 4th phase of Chicago. I was Moose.
That kind of thing. Before you guys get out, I'd be right if I didn't ask you about the attire. Got to zoom back in studio.
Moose, what I tell you every week. I'm just trying to keep up with the Muhammad's. That's what I tell them every week. Just trying to keep up with the Muhammad's.
Usually big men don't know how to dress, but you got to give it up to Desmond today. I mean, not a lot of people can wear purple and look good, but this is, the lavender, the purple. It's the lavender look. It's the lavender look.
He's playing it too.
And then he's playing it because you see it's bringing it out into the suit too.
Yeah, and I don't know if they see that at home. The lavender
it's bringing it all out into the suit.
Well, thank you, Moose. I really appreciate it from a man that dresses as well as Moose does on a regular basis, not just on Sundays.
Right.
Not just wherever he's at, he's dressed pretty good.
You can't do a whole. Not a lot of people can wear this many stripes.
Right, and then
have it coordinated
and make it look good.
And make it look good. Usually it look too cluttered.
Right.
But so you got to be able to coordinate.
So you guys had to win looking this good, though, right?
It was only fitting that we win.
Only fitting. Yes. Fitting.
You get it?
Look, on that note, bam. That's all we can say. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thank you very much, Dez, Billy, Jack, and Moose. I would love to have heard the description of those suits had they not had that 97-yard scoring drive there at the end of the game. But, hey, you know what?
Purple's becoming the new blue.
Yes, it is.
A lot of Prince
influence.
When you see the frilly.
For a moment, we were all going to be wearing black as pallbearers carrying a casket, but thank goodness they pulled that out. Let's talk a little bit about that catch that Moose made in the back of the end zone. And Brian Griese is set to address the media right now. It is brought to you by Amco Transmissions. Let's listen in to the starting quarterback of your Chicago Bears.
Brian, what was the attitude of the team going out there? No timeouts left at your own 3-yard line. You guys haven't scored a touchdown the entire game to that point.
I was confident. I can't speak for everybody else. The mood in the huddle was good, was positive. And I think the key to that drive from our standpoint was just the start and getting a couple plays, a couple completions, getting out of that hole and getting out of bounds. And what allowed us to do that was they were continuing to play their defense and bring some of their pressures. And we were able to get the ball to the right guys and get out of bounds.
Brian, how do you approach the 2-minute drill? Is it just keeping a calm amongst the unit? Is it communication amongst everyone? How do you approach it?
Well, it's a combination of all those things. Yeah, I think, you hear people talk all the time about, the 2-minute drill, and I think the biggest thing is just getting started, getting completions, getting started. And then after you get a couple completions, defenses seem to get a little antsy. And then the other thing is their defensive linemen rush a few times. Now it's the third play in a row they had to rush the passer. They're not as rested, and you have a little bit more time to push the ball down the field. And I think that's what happened. We were able to get a few completions and then a couple shots down the middle of the field, which we knew we needed, and then spike the ball and stop the clock.
Brian, you can say that one game or even one drive can save the season, but the alternative wouldn't be good if you did score. So how big was this game and even that drive?
It was really big. I mean, there's no doubt about it. We've talked all week about if we're in a hole at 2-5, it's not a good situation. And now we're at a point where if we can get to 500 for our bye week, I would feel very good about that position going forward for the rest of the season.
How important is the momentum, not only on the drives, but like you're speaking on the season?
Well, it's huge. I mean, we sat and talked 2 weeks ago after the Green Bay game about the momentum, and hopefully the momentum swinging in our favor. And unfortunately, we didn't win last week. Now we're in the same position, but it was a big game for us. But the key to us going forward is how do we build on what we did today? How do we learn from the situations in the red zone, per se, that we didn't capitalize on today and become a better football team going forward and build on that momentum? Because this win won't mean anything if we don't win next week.
When Devin Ester's on the field, how do you see the defenses adjusting?
Today they didn't play him any different than anybody else.
What was the coverage in the pass to Barry and the third down pass?
The third down pass in that 2-minute drill. What was the coverage?
What did you see
They were playing. They were mixing their pressures, their blitzes with their prevent defense, and we caught their prevent defense on that play. We actually called a play for their blitz package, and so we had to adjust a little bit. Bernard did a good job of settling in the hole, and normally I hit that ball on the other side of the hash to him, but I just had to make a play and fire it to him right in the middle of the field, and he made a great play on it.
How many plays were called for you, and how many were you kind of
Well, unfortunately, the audio in my helmet went out right before that drive. So, or you can look at it, fortunately, it went out. But I don't know, however you want to put it. But I felt really good calling my own plays in that situation. And before I go out into a 2-minute drill, I kind of look at our play sheet and get in my mind a plan of what we want to do. And so I felt comfortable in that situation.
You ever said it would be good for you to call your plays all the time?
I didn't say that. Yeah, it was out. It was out. I actually, the last play of the game, I ran over to the sideline just to because we had a clock stoppage, and I knew the set was out, and so I ran over to the sideline and got the last play. But the remainder of the plays were the ones that I called, yeah.
You were under center, Brian, and the ball squirted out behind you and got behind you. How did that happen?
I looked at the Jumbotron, the replay, and I never touched the ball. I guess there were some chunks in the middle of the field, and Olin went to snap the ball, and the nose of the ball got caught in the chunks of the grass. So, I've never experienced that ruling before. That was quite fortuitous for us.
What about calling your own plays? Would you like to do it?
It's something that I've done in the past. In certain situations, in no-huddle offenses, it spurts during the game, and then at the end of games, end of halves. It's something I'm comfortable doing. It hasn't been a big part of the offense here, but I'd be willing to explore it more if they wanted to.
Do you think that the plays you called were pretty close to what Turner would have called? Do you have any sense of that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's a 2-minute drill. Obviously, we're in a passing situation, and the biggest thing I was trying to do was have an opportunity to throw the ball down the field against our prevent defense, but then also have a play that worked against some of their pressures, and I think it worked out.
Ryan, were you surprised the game was a field goal battle until the end?
Our defense did a really good job of limiting them in the red zone and forcing them to kick field goals. We didn't do a very good job in the red zone when we were down there, obviously. There was a couple plays in the game that if we convert big third downs, in the plus 40 to plus 20 yard area, gives us a chance to score a touchdown, and then obviously the fumble on the goal line. But from that standpoint, I mean, that's why it was a field goal game. We just didn't execute in the red zone.
What happened on that fumble?
I take the blame on that one. The ball came up. I should have had it.
What about?
I'm not the one with the guys breathing down my neck down there.
Can you just describe the touchdown play, what you saw, how the game opened?
Yeah, actually the same situation happened last week when they played New York Jets, and I remember watching it on film. The Jets had an opportunity late in the game, I think it was a 4th down, and the Eagles came with all-out pressure. And I thought to myself on the field, I said, they're going to bring pressure. They got to bring pressure. And so we called a play that allowed our guys to get in the end zone so that we can throw it in the end zone and not get tackled short of the end zone. But I knew I just had to buy some time and give one of our guys a chance to go up and get the ball. And that's what Moose did. The guy lost sight of the ball, and Moose did a great job of fading back. I tried to put it on his back shoulder and give him a chance to make a play.
All right, 4 out of 5 offensive linemen today had at least one penalty. With a veteran group like this, is there any way you work to keep them up their own spirit?
Well, let me just say, I think they did a heck of a job today. This defense was not an easy defense to play against. It's probably the toughest defense scheme-wise and that we've played all year. I mean, they just bring a myriad of blitzes from all different places, and I didn't get hit a whole lot today. And they did a great job of working together to pick up some of those blitzes. So I thought they did a great job. Now, obviously, when you have to pick up a bunch of different foreign looks, you're going to have some breakdowns, and I think those penalties occurred during those breakdowns.
Ron Turner said that the no-huddle is in the playbook, but to do it outside of the 2-minute drill, is this team really built on being able to do that?
Well, I don't know how you're built to do something. I mean,
Olin says he'd never last.
Oh, he wouldn't last. Oh, did you talk to Reuben Brown? Reuben's older than Olin now. And Reuben did the no-huddle with Jim Kelly in Buffalo quite a bit. And if you ask Reuben, it's not necessarily a hurry-up offense. It's just it's a tempo thing, I think, more than anything. But it is something that we did work a little bit in training camp, but we haven't done to date during the season.
Is there something about
that situation at the end there that you like being in there? Is there something freeing about it, just to know that nothing to lose in a lot of ways? It's 97 yards and no timeouts.
Well, there's a lot to lose. I mean, you know, obviously we needed this game pretty bad. I mean, we needed this for our season. We had a lot to lose, I think. I think that you have to remain confident. You know, the past 3 games, I think now, our production in the fourth quarter on offense has been pretty good. And I think it's more of an aggressive attitude. I think we are obviously playing from behind is not a great thing, but the way that we've played from behind this year in the fourth quarter has been something I think that we can build on. And from my standpoint, I feel like the aggressive nature of that time in the game, I feel really comfortable in.
Brian, is there a sense of you, everybody talks about proving themselves each week, but when you're relatively new as the starter, do you feel like you are proving yourself to your teammates?
No, I don't. I didn't enter this game that way. I feel really good with where I am with my teammates and the respect that I have for them and the respect that they have for me. And you know, I don't think that drives like that happen if everybody doesn't believe. And in the huddle on the 3-yard line, I think everybody believed.
Anything else?
All right, guys.
All right, Brian Griese, after an epic press conference there, a couple things to get to. First up, Jim, no radio communication with the sideline last minute 52, that entire 97-yard drive. Your thoughts on that?
I think it's great. I mean, that's what, you know, every quarterback does it. When you go into a 2-minute drill, you normally have, there's only a certain amount of plays you run. Like you'll have 3-by-1 plays, meaning 3 receivers to one side, and you got your X isolated, or 2-by-2 plays, meaning 2 receivers on each side. You normally have maybe a total of 8 to 10 plays total, and he did the smart thing. Obviously, take what the defense gives him. Now the defense starts to get antsy, and he can start going down the field.
So, Counselor, let me get this straight. A 2-minute drill. All of a sudden, the audio goes out in the helmet. Counselor, how does that happen?
Exactly. Well, what do we got to bring back the Belichick and Spygate stuff here? I mean, it happens all the time. It happened, like I said, up in Green Bay a lot. But I think it says what Brian is a sharp guy. He's been around a long time. Most quarterbacks that have been around that long call their 2-minute plays. Normally, you just huddle up after you get out of bounds or there's a penalty, where you go over, talk to the coaches, and let's try to.
Or he has a better idea than
Counselor, to take this.
I'm giving you the politically correct reason.
Let's advance the
one step further without leading the witness.
Because I think I'm going where you're going on this one.
If they do well when he's calling the play calls, and it was brought up there, why not, Brian? Then would you like to call more plays than say Ron Turner?
Tell it.
Counsel?
In a 2-minute drill. Yeah, I think Brian feels very.
What about
comfortable
other times throughout the game? He said he would invite it if it was there.
I think if it's a crucial situation, you come in and Ron Turner asks him if he's talking to him on the sideline. Hey, what do you feel comfortable with, Brian, in this crucial third down situation? And Brian's going to tell him, like most quarterbacks tell their offense, I feel really good about this play, Coach. Let's go with this play.
Well, you know, it also brings up the point, too, that as we always talk about it week in and week out, when things work against you, you're going to see them again. In the NFL, that's the way it works. What did you see in this game that said to you, okay, now teams looking at the Bears going forward and offensively say, well, we can't do this, or, you know, they've finally learned how to pick this up and block this.
Right. I think it goes again with that communication that both, you know, the quarterback's coach, the offense coordinator, and Brian need together. Because, like I said, the first thing how the game changed is you got to get a tendency of what blitzes they're running. And so now Ron can go to Brian and say, all right, Brian, on 3rd down, we're seeing this. On 2nd and long, we're seeing this. On 3rd and short, we're seeing this. These are the play calls I'm leaning towards calling because of this reason. And Brian will understand that, and he can respond, well, hey, they brought that blitz, but they weren't in the coverage we thought they were going to be. So there's always going to be banter that goes back and forth.
Can a win like this not only bring the offense together, but Zoom, can it also have a positive impact on the defensive side, too, because you pulled one out of the ashes like you did today?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everybody wants to step up. Everyone wants to go out there and make a play. And, you know, this team feeds off of making plays. So it was good to see, you know, them take it down 97
yards. It's a good thing
yards.
that this game was pulled out of the ashes, too, absolutely. I mean, because it was going down in smoke, if you know what I'm saying.
Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Time for us to take another break here. When we return, we're going to hear from Donovan McNabb. Here's our Cadillac poll question once again. In 34 career games, what is your opinion of Cedric Benson? A, average at best. B, a work in progress. Be patient. Or C, he's a first-round bust. Go to ComcastSports.com Click Chicago, then the Bears page, vote away. We'll have results coming up on U.S. Cellular Bears Postgame Live. Keep it here. All right, here's a look at the NFC North standings after today's action. The Packers had the bye. They are at Denver next week. Lions took care of the Buccaneers at Ford Field. They go to 4-2. They are 2-0 in the division. They will meet the Bears on Lakefront next week. Bears, of course, now 3-4. They move ahead of the Vikings, who, of course, have already had their bye. As for Philadelphia, they fall to 2-4 in the NFC East. Dallas, of course, leading the way in that division at 6-1. Don McNabb, 21-34, 226 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. He's now 4-1 in his career against the team he cheered for as a kid. Here he is addressing the media a short time ago.
Well, I mean, it still has come through here. We are the defending champions, and that's the way, it goes. But yes, we are in the chase position, and even in this game, it was a must-win for us, an opportunity for us to win, and we just didn't capitalize. And there's no need for us to even look back. We have to focus on what's next, and that's obviously playing against Minnesota and try to change this thing around. But I mean, the only thing you could possibly do is learn from this, and it's unfortunate because we kind of swung it our way, and things was in a position for us to seal the deal, and we just didn't do it. I did. Our defense had been playing well all throughout the game, and I just didn't think that they would go 97 yards to score to try to win. But give credit to them. They did an excellent job, and Greasy did a wonderful job of just moving the ball around and getting everybody involved and putting this team in a position to score and win. And again, it's unfortunate we're in this position again, but, there's no need to look back. You can focus on what's next and be able to move on.
Teammates have said that when you get into the red zone, it feels almost like you hit a brick wall. Do you have any insight into what happens?
Well, I mean, it's kind of a position that we're not used to, and you're trying to find any little answer, if you can, and we get, down there easily, and then all of a sudden, you get a couple plays here, you get a miss here, and then all of a sudden you find yourself at 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 6, and if you don't get it, then you kick another field goal. So it does somewhat feel like you hit a brick wall, but they're just mistakes at the wrong time. And if it's a miscue here, it's just something in which we have to try to eliminate.
Time now for our Valero Energy to Take You Anywhere drive charts. And after a first half that produced just one scoring drive, the field goal in the second quarter, here's what they did in the second half. Third quarter, field goal, field goal. Fourth quarter, field goal. Fourth quarter, punt. And, of course, the game-winning touchdown. Not a bad situation there in the second half for the Chicago Bears. We're back with more after this. Now let's listen in to the Bears offensive coordinator, Ron Turner, just moments ago.
They're really aware of him, yeah. But if you put him in a spot plays, if he just all of a sudden goes in there, then they're really aware and they play to him. But if he's in there in the flow of the game, eventually they just got to play football, and he's in there like anybody else. And, and as long as other guys sort of step up, make plays, which they did tonight, then it's hard for them to, if they want to key on him, that's going to open up something else.
Do they like double team him?
No. They don't double team. They just, they just know he's there, and, and maybe, I don't know, may call, cover 2 or get a safety over the top to his side or whatever. But, but again, if they're doing that, then it gives opportunity for somebody else to step up.
Talk about the confidence that you had going in, minute 53 left, knowing that Greasy was behind the ball, no timeouts.
Minute 53. I lost 4 seconds. I thought it was 157. All right, 153. We had a lot of confidence in the entire offense. Obviously in Brian, he's got tremendous poise, very intelligent, got tremendous poise. And when he gets in the huddle, everyone else sees that and feels the same thing. So, I think everybody in the huddle and all the coaches, had confidence that we could, move the ball.
Are you truly?
All right, let's talk about the run-to-pass ratio in this game. 23 rushing plays, 41 passing plays. Jigs, this still isn't the formula that we'd like to see from this team. We can't argue with the results today, but
Well, you know what the funny thing was, earlier in the week I had said from an offensive standpoint, I was going to break down my own theory and say go with the pass to set up the run. That's apparently what the Bears did in today's ball game. Sometimes I think you just have to change the dynamic a little bit, and it works for them. It has worked in the past for them as well. Although, you still traditionally want to go back to the regular formula.
Scheme-wise, Jim, what was the one thing you liked seeing most today about what the offense did that maybe you hadn't seen in weeks past?
Well, I think, one, they came out, like what Dan said, just to try to attack a defense. It changed. Once they got a good beat on what Philadelphia was doing defensively, started to really push the ball down the field. I thought that was just encouraging. They're getting more confidence in Brian Griese. And I love seeing Brian get animated in the huddle, just telling guys, hey, they know the season was on the line, and the guys went out and made plays, so kudos to all the offensive players.
When you looked at what the Bears offense was able to do to Jim Johnson's defense, Zoom, they would blitz sometimes, that wide receiver screen. That's kind of the best play to run at that time. What did you think of just some of the different formations we saw out there and how, as a defender, that confuses you and takes you out of your game a little bit?
Well, I mean, whenever you can, basically get into a situation where you have multiple, sets and formations and things like that, it makes it very disruptive and very hard. So, you have to basically figure out ways and figure out what they're trying to do to you to attack them.
All right, coming up, we're going to have our game's MVP, our Monsters of the Midway. You're going over all your charts right now for Jerry's GQ.
Purple Rain.
Looking sharp as always.
They're going to have to beat me.
It always goes through Zoom.
This is a gift from me to me.
There's no I in Jerry Azuma, but there is N-E.
N-E.
All right, we're coming back with more on US Cellular Bears Plus Game Live after this. Of the Midway, presented by IPA, otherwise known as the Bears MVP against the Philadelphia Eagles. And Zoom, we start things off with
Tommy Harris, definitely 2 sacks, very disruptive. He was getting double teamed too, playing hurt. He just had it all going for him today.
Jim, who do you have?
Another guy who answered the bell, Brian Urlacher, 10 tackles, 2 pass defense. Guy, same thing, playing injured, and they moved him around like Dan and I talked about, going to some 46 looks.
Jigs.
All right, I'm going to go with Tommy Harris on the defensive side, but I know the suits are not in this week, so I'm also going to go with Robbie Gould, who's special teams day. 4 field goals kept the Bears in this game.
All the guys we're mentioning, pretty much the guys have been criticized in the media in the last week, other than Robbie Gould. I'm going with Musa Muhammad. 5 catches. He had a 44-yard catch.
That's because you guys do countdown the kickoff together.
See what he just did?
Get the Michigan State together.
Apparently a Spartan and a Wolverine can coexist. So kudos to my man Musa Muhammad and Brian Griese for hooking up on the game winner. Time now to look at our Monsters of the Midway standings through Week 7. Devin Hester, 2-3, lead the way over Lance Briggs. We're back with Jerry's GQ after this.
The road to happiness. Lots of twists.
All right, time now for the always stylish Jerry Zuma to give us his best dressed bear in Philly today. It's Jerry's GQ and Zoom.
First of all, there was some honorable mention. I got to go with Des Clark. He had the
purple.
Prince purple. But I got to give it to my man, Brendan Iron-Bedejo.
I thought you were going to say Devin Hester.
No. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say Brendan Iron-Bedejo. He looks sharp right here. I mean, he got the long jacket on, the big boy knot. He's looking sharp.
That looks like one of those Australian coats, the Petermans.
He got the glasses on.
That's a Lenny Kravitz look.
I mean, Lenny Kravitz a little bit. He's looking sharp.
So Brendan Iron-Bedejo takes it here in Week 7, and here are our results through the first 7 weeks.
Miller time.
Pretty much everybody is still even at 1 in the clubhouse.
Jigs.
Yeah. All right.
No Pat Boyle on the list.
No, we don't.
It's coming.
We got 9 weeks.
What are you going with, the Hugo Boss system?
Hey, there's no Jerry Azuma on the board.
Yeah, that's true.
It's coming.
We know
that's
from
coming.
me too. We know that's coming.
It's coming.
Hey, here's our Cadillac poll question. In 34 career games, what's your opinion of Cedric Benson? Here's what you had to say after logging on to ComcastSportsNet.com. 70% say first round bust, 15% say work in progress, 14.5 average at best. Guys, that's a harsh statement, but that's kind of what you sign up for when you are the 4th overall pick and you play in the National Football League. Right now, it's pretty hard to argue with what we've seen right now.
Those to whom much is given, much is expected, and I think that's one of the things that Cedric is finding out. Now, this is the harsh part of the business, is that people are going to judge you differently than they would judge someone who's drafted in the 5th round and giving fifth-round money.
Guys, can they make a run from here quickly? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
Thumbs up. I think they can do it.
I can't believe you even asked that question. I can't believe you even asked that question.
I'm having your Kool-Aid. I'm going to get an IV drip as soon as this thing is over. Bears win it 19-16. They keep their playoff and their season hopes alive with the big victory as they move to now 3-4 on the year. Thanks for watching US Cellular Bears Post Game Live. We'll see you next week after the Lions game. So long, everyone.
I'm Malcolm.
Hi, I'm Dan Jiggs, and welcome to another edition of Bears Recap, brought to you by our friends at United Airlines. It's our weekly breakdown of what went right and wrong for the Bears on Sunday. And later in the show, we'll hear from head coach Lovie Smith the day after the drive in the city of brotherly love. Now, the Bears came into yesterday's Eagles game with their backs against the wall. They knew that a loss meant that they were probably out of the postseason hunt. So it was time to play with a sense of desperation and get it done by any means necessary. Bears and Eagles in the city of brotherly love, picking up in the second quarter. Eagles in front 6-zip, 1st and 10 on their 26. Greasy hits a streaking Muhsin Muhammad across midfield for a gain of 44 yards. Now that is getting down the field. And that set up Robbie Gould from 31 yards out. Robbie redeems himself after having missed his first attempt of the game. He splits the uprights, making it a 3-point game. All right, let's move on now to the third quarter. Down 9-7 the Bears were, but on the knocking at the Eagles' door on 2nd and goal, Greasy hits Jason McKee in the flat, but he's denied entry and brought down short of the goal line. And then the next play, Greasy mishandles the snap. It falls on the ball. The Bears offense looking inept and would have to settle for another field goal. Fourth quarter, tied at 9. Bears ball near midfield. Olin Kreutz snaps it past Greasy, who never gets a hand on it. It's a free-for-all, the loose pigskin. Then Sean Consign scoops it up and looks to score, but he's tackled by Seth Benson.
And the ball is snapped, and it goes beyond him. By rule, it's a false start, and the play is dead.
Woo, the Bears catch your break. So now they have to capitalize on it, right? Off play action. He takes the screen pass from Greasy, cuts it upfield for a gain of 19. Finally brought down at the Eagles' 27-yard line, Benson was. And that set up, yeah, you guessed it, another field goal attempt. Goal from 45 yards out. He banks this one in off the left upright, and it's nothing but net. The Bears led 12-9. Eagles with the ball now. Chicago's very own Donovan McNabb under pressure. Rolls out. He finds a wide open Kevin Curtis in the middle of the field. Philadelphia headed towards the red zone once again. Later in the drive, the Eagles trying for their first touchdown of the ballgame. McNabb finds tight end Matt Schobel in the end zone, and the Eagles take a 16-12 lead. Now to the final minute and 52 seconds of the game. Bears ball on their own 3-yard line, 97 yards to pay dirt. First play from scrimmage, Brian Greasy hits Desmond Clark for a gain of 11, and the Bears are in business. Later in the drive, 49 ticks left on their own 39. Greasy hits Bernard Berrien over the middle for a gain of 25 before being brought down in Eagles territory. Then 2 plays later, Greasy completes it to Hester over the middle for a gain of 21. He is brought down at the Eagle 15-yard line. And then with just 15 seconds left in the game, Greasy finds Muhsin Muhammad in the back of the end zone for the game-winning touchdown. Greasy takes the Bears 97 yards in less than 2 minutes as they come back and win it 19-16. So the Bears, for the first time in the Andy Reid and Donovan McNabb era of the Eagles, beat Philly 19-16. They did it on the strength of Brian Greasy's arm, a lack of turnovers, and a bend but don't break defense. And after the win, the players recognized just how tough a position they were in going into the ball game.
It was really big. I mean, there's no doubt about it. We've talked all week about if we're in a hole at 2-5, it's not a good situation. And now we're at a point where if we can get to 500 for our bye week, I would feel very good about that position going forward for the rest of the season.
I mean, this game, we talked about it last night in the hotel in our team meeting, and we're pretty fired up in our meeting. We had terrible room service, and the food was terrible at the hotel. I mean, they did just about everything they could do here to make the trip unpleasant. But we were able to stay focused, and it was good. I think it's big. I mean, when you went on the road like this and you start gaining some momentum. that confidence is big too. You need that confidence, especially entering into the second half of the season. I mean, we love to go into our bye week, at 4-4. We got a chance to redeem ourselves because we lost a game against Detroit that we felt like we should have won. And we got them at home with an opportunity to go into our bye week and even the score with a whole half of football, a whole half a season of football left. And so, that's our goal, is to even our score up, even our record up, and then go into the second half with a purpose.
If we would have lost this game, then, it would have been hard for us. But this gives us a game to build on, and we're going to enjoy this one and get ready for next week.
As we continue to win, we can't use games as redemption. We're supposed to win games. Last week was a tough loss, and we just got to kind of use it as a stepping stone and to keep building and hopefully win games.
Now, the Bears kept themselves in this game right down to the end and left the door ajar for a chance at a miracle. And that's what they got on what is now known as the Chicago version of the drive. It began innocently enough on 1st and 10. Griese tosses the clock for 11 yards and the first down. Now, a few plays later, it's 2nd and 10. Griese to Peterson for 10 yards and another first down. Adrian doing a nice run after the catch. Then on 1st and 10, once again, Griese drops back to pass. This time finds a wide open Devin Hester. Now Griese quickly out to the flat. Clark once again getting close to that first down. Griese drops back, goes deep this time. Bernard Berrien across the middle. And Bernard into Eagle territory. Griese once again back to pass. This time he connects with a Devin Hester. Griese once again now getting down into the red zone. Goes up top, finds Musa Muhammad for the game-winning touchdown. Now check out the numbers from the drive. They give you a real good idea of just how perfectly Brian Griese executed the offense without any timeouts. 97 yards to go, just a minute 52 seconds left to play in regulation. Oh yeah, Brian's helmet communication was out for the entire ordeal.
I was confident. I can't speak for everybody else. The mood in the huddle was good, was positive. And I think the key to that drive from our standpoint was just to start and getting a couple plays, a couple completions, getting out of that hole and getting out of bounds. And what allowed us to do that was they were continuing to play their defense and bring some of their pressures. And we were able to get the ball to the right guys and get out of bounds.
2 minutes to go, we on the 3-yard line. We got a 97-yard drive to go, And for us to drive down that field and come up that touchdown was very awesome, man. You can't really write a better book than that,
Yeah, we had a lot of confidence in the entire offense. Obviously in Brian, he's got tremendous poise, very intelligent, got tremendous poise. And when he gets in the huddle, everyone else sees that and feels the same thing. So, I think everybody in the huddle and all the coaches, had confidence that we could, move the ball.
Now, we often talk about halftime adjustments and the importance of making them counter what the opponent's throwing at you. Now, yesterday in the first half, Brian Westbrook was making it look like Adrian Peterson replay from the week before. He was running hard, finding daylight, and exploiting the Bears' defense to the tune of 12 rushes for 59 yards or 4.9 yards per carry. Much of it coming, as it did for Peterson, off cutbacks and the lack of sufficient run support. In the second half of the Bears' defense really shut the door down. As a result, Westbrook had just 20 yards rushing in that second half. Now, as we talk about the cutback run, what the backs are trying to do is take advantage of a quick defense to get them to over-pursue and get out of their lanes and then break the ball back against the flow of traffic. The other important thing to note is, though, is your blocking scheme is also set up to take advantage of the pursuit angles as well. And that's what the Eagles were trying to do in large part. This time, Westbrook stayed on the strong side of the play. All right, we're just getting things rolling here on Bears Recap. Coming up next, we'll hear from Bears head coach Lovie Smith, who finally got to break that hole Andy Reid and the Eagles had enjoyed over the Bears.
Having to go 97 yards like that with no timeouts doesn't happen at all, a lot. But that's what we have. I mean, we have guys that knew that a lot was at stake and came through when we needed them to.